guys, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title of today's video, today I am finally doing a ranking video of the Halloween franchise. All 13 films as of now that I have officially covered every single film of the franchise, whether it be by review or a commentary. I feel ready to share my personal ranking of the Halloween films with you guys. I feel like everyone who does these types of videos always gives like a disclaimer at the beginning, like just warning you, going to be controversial. I mean, I probably do have some opinions that are not popular, but I mean, unless you're ranking a film that's not the original as number one, then I can see that being controversial. But I mean, at that point, you're probably just doing it just to be controversial. But maybe not. I've actually heard people say that they're not a fan of the 78 originals, so okay, can't relate, but you do you. Oh, and I'm just gonna talk briefly about each film as I rank them. If you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts about each film, please go check out my individual commentaries or reviews for the film. But yeah, I'm gonna stop blabbing and get to ranking. Now, I gotta start off by saying it's probably no mystery what my lowest ranked Halloween film is gonna be and what my highest ranked Halloween film is gonna be, especially if you watch my last video. But yeah, my least favorite Halloween film, the entire franchise, coming in at number 13 is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Yeah, like I said in my last video where I reviewed this film, this isn't a Halloween film, in my opinion. It's a catastrophe. It's nonsensical. It's devoid of any mystery. It's bleak in the worst way. And I don't mind a bleak horror film. I don't mind a mean film if it's done well, if it's engaging and entertaining. This is none of that for me, personally. All my favorite characters are absolutely ruined and are unwatchable and insufferable. Laurie, Loomis, Michael, I hate them all. This is definitely the Halloween film that I watched the least. I've only seen it a handful of times, and that's far too many times for me. And I look forward to never watching it again, if I can help it. Okay, moving on. My next lowest ranked Halloween film, in my opinion, at number 12, is Halloween Resurrection. What a product of its time this film was. I mean, the premise is actually not bad, but the execution was just not there. I mean, it's just all around bad. The acting is questionable, the characters are one-dimensional and cringy, and honestly, one of the ugliest Michael Myers masks of the franchise. I hate the mask in this movie. I will say the setting of the film is not bad. The Myers house as the backdrop to the film is interesting, and I do like that aspect of it. And also it does kind of reach that so bad it's entertaining territory for me. Like, I can admit this film is bad, but I can also kind of get a few chuckles here and there out of it when I watch it, and I enjoy making fun of its stupidity. So that's something, you know? Basically, I'm not mad at this film for being bad. There is some fun to be had, but it's still my second lowest ranked Halloween film. Okay, next up is going to have to be Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, I actually debated switching this with Resurrection and actually having this be my second lowest ranked in the franchise, but I didn't do that because I couldn't truly justify that. This is just a better made film than Resurrection, in my opinion, but I still don't love it. It does hold a lot of nostalgia for me, of course, but it's just not a super fun watch, I have to admit. I don't like a lot of the choices made, like killing off Rachel, the dumbass cops, the awful mask, the ambiguity of the man in black. Also, the film just drags, especially that last act in the Myers house. I always find myself looking at the time just wishing it would end, which is not good. Donald Pleasance and Daniel Harris, of course, are great, but yeah, I have to be honest with myself and with you guys and admit that I'm just not the biggest fan of part 5. It does have its good moments, but overall it's not gonna be high on my list. Okay, next on my ranking is going to be Rob Zombie's Halloween from 2007. Not quite in the middle, a little more towards the bottom, but that's not to say that I hate this film by any means. I actually do find it really enjoyable for the most part. I do think it has a lot of rewatchability, way better than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Like, it's not even close. Every good thing that Rob Zombie did in this film was completely ruined in his second film. Now, I obviously don't love everything he did in this film, like the backstory, the dialogue, the largeness of Michael Myers. Really dislike all of that. But this is at least a really solid slasher film. However, at the end of the day, it's a remake of the greatest horror film of all time, in my opinion. It was completely unnecessary, and if I want to watch Halloween, I'm never going to choose to watch this over the original. That's just how it is. But it's not bad. Now moving on to number 9 in my ranking, which is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Now we've reached the point in my ranking where I truly do love the rest of the films from here on out. Just had to point that out. But yeah, Season of the Witch. This one was weird to fit in the ranking with the rest of the films because of course it is so vastly different from the rest. But of course I had to include it. It's part of the franchise. And this is where it falls for me. I realize it's not for everyone. It doesn't have Michael Myers. It's not a slasher. It's the odd one out. But boy, do I have love for this one. I think it's an awesome flick. I truly do believe that. Great atmosphere, unique premise, amazing score. Yeah, again, this one was a weird one for me to rank, but it's just a bizarre yet truly delightful, entertaining little flick that I always will defend. Now moving on to my number 8. Now this one I actually think might surprise people because it's not higher on my list. Because I know this is a lot of people's favorite sequel, and that is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Now hear me out. I love this movie. I will always love this movie. I love the introduction to characters like Jamie Lloyd, Rachel, and other characters like Meeker, Reverend Sayer. I love the atmosphere of this film. I love Loomis in this film. This film has Brady's Kill, which is one of my favorites in the whole franchise. I don't even completely hate the mask, although I can admit it's terrible. I do find it to be kind of creepy in some scenes. And I know a lot of you are like, but Ashley, you haven't ranked Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers yet. Surely you can't like Curse more than part 4. Look, I had to take into consideration what film would I choose to rewatch over the other on any given day. And if I'm telling the truth, if I'm being 100% honest with you guys, which of course I would never lie, I would rather rewatch Halloween 6. Which is why it's my number 7, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And I'm talking about the theatrical cut. The producer's cut doesn't exist to me, if I'm being honest. I never count that version of the film. It's all about the theatrical cut. So yeah, Curse of Michael Myers. I know this is a mess of a movie. I know the editing is all over the place. I know the whole concept of the Curse of Florence is stupid and completely unnecessary. Trust me, I'm with you on that. That's not why I love this movie. I don't love this movie because of the plot. I love this movie because it seriously has some of my favorite Michael Myers moments. I love the brutality of Michael Myers. I love Paul Rudd as Tommy. And I just love the whole mid-90s feel to it, if that makes sense. It's got great fall atmosphere, and it's just so fun, despite all its flaws, I think. I know a lot of people can't stand this one. I get it. I know it feels criminal that I would rank this one above part 4. And like I said, I will admit part 4 is the better film, but this is my ranking and I'm putting it above part 4 because it's honestly the one that I would choose to rewatch out of the two. So, okay, next in my ranking. Now this is where all the Blumhouse Halloween haters are really gonna dislike me. But the next film in my ranking is going to be Halloween Kills. I mean, I've always defended Halloween Kills. I absolutely love Halloween Kills. I don't think it's perfect, but man, does it live up to its name, and it's such a fun ride, and honestly, hands down, some of the best kills in the entire franchise. I mean, that firefighter massacre scene alone is just like impeccable. It has my personal favorite soundtrack of a Blumhouse trilogy, and yeah, this is truly the Halloween film that you put on when you want to see Michael just at his strongest, like full-on, unstoppable, unkillable Michael freaking Myers. Yeah. I love Halloween Kills. Okay, so the next 3 films in my ranking, I honestly had such a hard time placing them for some reason. Like, I love all of them equally, but for completely different reasons. So any one of these next 3 films in my ranking could easily be moved up or down a spot, just depending on the day. But today, this day, the next film in my ranking is Halloween Ends. And for those of you who think that this is too high a spot for this movie, when it first came out, I ranked it as my 3rd favorite in the franchise. So yeah, it has fallen like 2 spots, but obviously that doesn't mean I don't still absolutely love and adore this film. And of course, like I said, it's so closely tied to the next 2 films in my ranking for me that it literally could go back to being my 3rd favorite Halloween film like tomorrow. This is just what I feel today. But yeah, one of the most controversial films in the franchise. People love to hate it. But personally for me, I really loved it. I really connected to it. I find it so compelling and unique, and I really do think that it was an amazing end to the trilogy and the franchise. So the next film in my ranking, what I truly feel today, is going to be Halloween 2 from 1981. I mean, I've adored this sequel since I was like 5 years old when I first saw it. Still to this day, I find it extremely unsettling. The hospital setting is super creepy. I love Dick Warlock as the Shape. It's got the hot tub kill. It's got quite a few really amazing kills actually. A really great chase scene at the end. Awesome rendition of the main theme. I do feel like it drags a little bit in the middle of the film, but honestly, that's barely a critique, and I can forgive it because when it picks back up towards the end, it's just so good. Oh, and we get Blood Tears Myers. Amazing. Yeah, Halloween 2 is always just so high up on my rewatch list. I just love it so much. Okay, we've reached number 3 in my ranking, what I genuinely feel is my third favorite Halloween film today on this day. Can you guys guess before I tell you? I mean, which ones haven't I talked about yet? I mean, it's probably super easy to guess at this point. It's Halloween 2018. You know, after Kills and Ends came out, and I ranked those films so high, 2018 actually fell down to like the middle of my ranking sometime last year. But after rewatching it again this year, it has somehow found its way to number 3. So I guess I can say as of today, it is my favorite of the Blumhouse trilogy. It's just so damn good and entertaining, and I think stays the most true to the essence of Halloween, if that makes sense. I love the development of Laurie's character, the introduction to Allison, Karen, Hawkins, and just Michael himself. I literally cannot praise them enough. From the mask to the movement of Michael, while obviously Halloween Kills Michael is like this Michael times 10 in terms of brutality, he's still super freaking brutal in this one. And not only that, we get a lot of creepy stalking from afar, you know, what made the Shape so scary in the original. This was such a great revival of the franchise. And I can truly rewatch this one any day of the year. It really is amazing. Okay, we've made it to my top 2 favorite Halloween films. And if you know me at all, you know what I'm gonna say. My top 2 favorite Halloween films never change, and today's no different. So coming in at number 2 is Halloween H2O. It's so weird trying to describe my love for this film because I know a lot of people don't like it. Not as much as they don't like Ends or anything, but I know the issues people have with this film. I'm not blind to them. I know the mask is weird. I know it changes back and forth. I know Michael's jumpsuit is too baggy. I know it has the music from Scream. I know it kind of feels more like a Scream film than a Halloween film. I know that it's not really scary. I freaking love it anyway. It is the most fun and the most rewatchable film in the franchise for me. I also love this era of horror, you know, the 90s. It has, hands down, my favorite Laurie Strode moment. Her getting the axe and screaming Michael, going to hunt his ass down. Oh my gosh. I honestly and truthfully think there was a point in my life where I literally rewatched this movie every day. Like, I'm not kidding. It is my ultimate comfort film, and I honestly cannot ever see myself ranking it lower than number 2. Which brings me to my number 1, which is absolutely no surprise to anyone, and it's Halloween 1978. My favorite horror film of all time. It's also just in my top 3 films of all time if we're just talking film in general. It was the first horror movie that I could remember watching and it having an effect on me. It's honestly probably changed my life in more ways than I can describe. I think it's pretty damn near close to being a perfect film, but by today's standards, it's probably considered a slow burn. But I honestly wouldn't change a thing. It was such a simple premise, which is why it is still so scary and effective to this day. We get Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, Nick Castle as the Shape. Just incredible. I almost feel like at a loss for words. It'll never not be my number 1. That's for damn sure. It's the one, the only, the classic Halloween. So that's my ranking. Again, I barely touched the surface when it comes to like truly describing all my thoughts about these films. So if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts of these films, check out the individual commentaries and reviews for these films. Like I said in the video, there are certain films that I know aren't ever changing in my ranking, like the original, H2O, and then Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is always going to be my least favorite unless they made something like truly vile that is even worse than that film, but I truly don't see that happening. But yeah, please tell me what your ranking is of the franchise in the comments, and please be nice to other people and be nice about their rankings, even if someone wants to rank Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 as their number 1. At the end of the day, it's just movies. It's not a big deal. Please leave me suggestions for other Halloween related content. I've already done a mask ranking video, and I know for sure I want to do like my top 10 favorite kills from the franchise, but leave me some more suggestions if you have any. And yeah, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.
The boogeyman is coming.